In this session, we will be talking about energy crisis. This is on block 3, that is energy and mineral resources. And know very well that how energy is important for our survival, because in our early days we used to say that what is energy? Energy is ability to do any work, and without energy we cannot do anything. Either we rely on the muscle energy, that is the one which comes from our muscles, that is the muscular energy. Since that time, human beings have tried to explore their surroundings and to see that how far we can get the energy. So, in the initial days stage, when the 19th century, we utilize the energy. We know that how fire was discovered and how energy from the surroundings was used, particularly to make our lives more comfortable, to get all the resources which are there on the surroundings, and how the human civilization has transformed with the help of energy, utilizing the energy sources which are available in the surroundings, and also trying to use and modify the energy sources so that it becomes more and more usable, so that we can get more output from the various energy sources which are available in our surroundings, or which can be exploited reasonably with less amount of inputs, you can say. So without energy we cannot sustain our agriculture, our industries, our own survival, say in the form of food, water. Sun is the ultimate source of energy on this planet, which, in other words, we can say that it rules the planet, it governs the planet, it is a basic source of survival of not only us but also the other living organisms which are inhabiting this planet. So there is no denying, there is no question on this, that energy is very much required for the survival of each and every molecule on this planet. We need energy. And another interesting fact about energy is that our economic development depends on energy. How far we have developed, how we are different from the previous societies which were existing on earth, how we have progressed. If you see the agricultural society, the nomadic society, the industrial age, how it began with the use of coal, steam engine, we can say that we have developed. And the type of energy which has been used clearly explains, it is a reflection of the development. There are the hard path and the soft paths of energy in the different eras, whether it is the pre-industrial era, industrial era, modern era, IT era, which is coming up now, which is the information era, which is on its way. The type and the amount of energy which we are consuming, it clearly reflects the trajectory of our economic development, goes line in line with the energy sources which we are consuming. So there is a clear distinction. But what is surprising is that how energy transition has taken place during those earlier times. The transition to newer forms of energy is very much rapid as it is seen today. We are in the path of exploring more and more newer forms of energy today, which can help us mitigate the problems which we are facing today. And energy access, this is something which is very very important, or you can say critical areas of our intervention, where we know that energy is useful, energy is required for rural, for urban, for all the places which are there. But energy access, energy equity is not uniform, and that makes a worrisome point, that how we are able to ensure that we provide energy to all. In the sustainable development goals, we say that no one should be left behind. But when it comes to energy also, we must have to check that, because there are certain sections of the communities which do not have so easy access to energy, so clean access to energy, or so modern forms of energy. There are different forms of energy, as you must be aware of, but access to energy sources is not uniform. The availability, the usage of energy is also unevenly distributed across the globe. and that makes a clear picture of distinction between the way of living, the way of commuting, and the lifestyles, which are very much different in the developed countries and in the developing countries. So, in view of this, there are certain facts before us which present a clear cut picture of what is actually happening around. There are 940 million people, 13% of the people in the world, they do not have access to electricity. And the inability of usage of the electricity means they cannot perform their daily tasks so easily. They cannot read, they cannot study, they cannot commute, and we know how electricity is important to us. A mere power cut of 1 hour or 2 hour makes our life miserable. So imagine these people, they do not have access, they are not having electricity in their homes. Similarly, there are around 3 billion people in the world, 40% of the population, they don't have access to clean fuels. The clean fuels which are required for transportation, for cooking, for different domestic purposes, the clean fuels are not available. And when I say that the clean fuels are not available, it indicates that they are exposed to different kind of pollutants. They are exposed to dirty sources of energy which contribute to air pollution also, and which also present health hazards to those people who are meeting their daily requirements with the energy sources which are polluting, which are not safe to use, and also which are not so energy efficient. In spite of the fact that we know that renewable sources of energy are the best, they can be renewed, they are clean, they are non-polluting, they are easily available, but in spite of the fact, fossil fuels still 84% of the world energy is met by coal, oil, gas, which are the fossil fuel based energy sources. We need to think about it, that why, in spite of having so much of advantages, and also the fears of climate change are very much evident, but in spite of that, why we are so much of relying on the fossil fuels. Similarly, energy accounts for around three quarters of total greenhouse gas emissions, and we know that climate change issue is a grave one, and in that, one of the major contributory is fossil fuels, and that is the source of energy. The way we are producing the energy, the way we are consuming that energy, that holds a major share in the greenhouse gas emissions. Agriculture is responsible, although we also cultivate biofuels nowadays, but also that presents a kind of an imbalance where we are not sure whether these biofuels have a sustainability in the long run, how far it is able to meet the growing demands of the energy that we are having today. Similarly, between 2019 and 2030, it was predicted that energy demand will go up by 12% before this COVID-19, because COVID-19 and the subsequent lockdowns which have occurred in the last 1.5 years, that have had a great bearing on the energy production consumption, and have led to so many issues related to energy. Now here is some figure which tells you that how we are consuming the energy, which energy resource we are consuming, and the gray portions which you can see, the black one, that is 27% coal, and the gray portions comprising of oil and natural gas. So the major chunk of the energy, as I said, it is being provided by the fossil fuels. The share of nuclear energy, hydroelectric energy, and the renewables in the form of wind energy, solar energy is pretty small. That is a worrisome point, because in the times to come, by 2030, we have made a deadline that we will phase out coal, but having a share of 27% as of 2019, it is really a questionable, it is really something which we have to rethink, that whether we will be able to do that by 2030. But that is something which is very very much required in the present scenario where the fossil fuel based energy sources are depleting very fast, we have no mechanism of renewing them, and further they are one of the major contributors of carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere, which is one of the main cause of the climate change, the effects of which are quite visible today. So, just taking you to the forms of energy you must be aware of, but just have a look at where is energy and where do we find the energy. So, basically, there are the conventional sources which we have been using since long. Before the industrial era, also, we were using coal, petroleum, firewood is still used in the villages, in the rural areas for keeping themselves warm, for cooking purposes. Animal dung is one of the major source of energy which is there before the people who live in the rural areas who do not have access to modern energy sources. So these are the conventional sources, time and tested sources. But today, what problem they are facing today is that the life of these resources is not going to last very long. Further, the distribution of these resources is not uniform, and therefore we are dependent on these resources for meeting our daily requirements. The issue with coal and petroleum is that they're very efficient, and that is why their use, particularly, there is a strong political and community support for the usage of oil, for the usage of coal, oil, these type of reserves. Because in spite of the fact in India we have so many coal mines, mining has an effect on the health of the miners, it takes away the land, but in spite of that it is something which is related to other sectors, like steel depends on coal, railways depend on coal. It is a cheap source of energy which is freely available in the country, and therefore to phase it out completely there is a lack of political support and there is lack of awareness. So this is the real ground life ground scenario of the use of the conventional sources which we have been using since long. But now the time has come for the non-conventional, which have just made a beginning in the form of solar photovoltaic cells. We are using solar thermal power plant is coming up, which utilizes the solar energy for the production of electricity, and it has a potential of replacing the coal-based power plants. Similarly, wind energy is mostly used because when you compare the usage of energy by different countries, you find that, for example, in Switzerland, 80% of the energy comes from the renewables. If you talk about Sweden, which is number one as compared to global energy ranking, most of its energy comes from the nuclear power or the hydropower. The share of oil is less than 1%. So when you compare the countries like Sweden, Norway, Denmark, these countries are utilizing the renewable sources of energy, and therefore they are presenting an example before other countries that how we can use these energy sources for our industries and for also our heating and also for our meeting out the requirements which we are having, and the requirements are growing year by year. And likewise, we have the classification in the form of renewable and non-renewable source of energy. Let us see, first of all, let us have a kind of an intro towards these different sources of energy. The dams are being constructed, and hydropower has a potential of producing the electricity by running the turbines. We know that it has a high investment, but it is easy to control. See, there are pros and cons of using the renewable and the non-conventional forms of energy also. We very well know, because despite the fact that they have a promise for being the clean source of energy, it is being found that they are not so efficient, and when it comes to the demands which we have for meeting the base load, for meeting the requirements of the small group of population, small communities, they may find useful. But with the country which is growing in numbers, and it is going to surpass China by 2025, we need the energy sources which are reliable, which are resilient, and which are sustainable in the long run. So, likewise, if you see the tidal energy, which makes use of the tides it has a potential for the production of electricity with the help of mechanical power and running of the turbines, but it also has a limitation in the fact that it can meet the requirements of the given size of the population and not more than that. So the base load power actually determines that how much of the usage of that electricity we cannot transport it for long, we cannot transmit it to long distances, but it can meet the requirements of those particular coastal areas. Similarly, ocean thermal energy, the energy which is there with the oceans in terms of the temperature differences, because the deeper layers are cool, the shallow or the surface waters are warm, there is a temperature difference between the upper layers and the lower levels, and this temperature difference is made use of in the production of electricity. And another feature of the oceans which can be put to use is the differences in the salinity, where the fresh water and the saline water, they have the difference in the concentration of salts in them, and by passing first through the fresh water then through the saline water in different you can say infrastructure, we are also able to generate the electricity. But again, it has a limitation that it is suitable, it has a limitation in terms of location, and it has a limitation in terms of efficiency investment also. Similarly, wind energy, it's a promising source of energy with a country which has, very high speed of wind, open spaces. It can be a potential source of energy. For example, these countries like Norway, Denmark, they are utilizing they have wind farms, windmills installed over large spaces of the land. So, with the help of onshore and offshore wind turbines, they are able to generate the electricity. Offshore is means in the water bodies, and onshore is on the land. But again, there is a question mark that whether we have that much space of land. We discussed about the land resources once, and we know that it is a shrinking resource. It doesn't expand with the expansion of our population or our needs. So devotion of land for the production of electricity by windmills, wind farms, actually needs a serious thought, because conditions vary from one country to another, from one region to another. So these are some of the issues with the wind energy. Likewise, geothermal energy, where we are utilizing the hot rocks, the hot water inside the earth's crust, it is being taken out. Then again, it is a localized source of energy with not that much of efficiency, and also not suitable for large areas, long distance this thing. And the solar energy, most promising as it appears to be in a country like India, which has over 8 to 9 months where solar energy is freely available at full intensity. So solar energy is being utilized by solar voltaic cells, where the solar energy gets converted into the electricity. The main material which is used is silicon, however is very costly. We also have to think about the reuse of the solar panels, which once if they are exhausted, how well we are able to dispose these panels, and how we can make sure that this source of energy is cheaper, easily available, and can meet the requirements of the people living in the rural areas also. Although we know that street lighting and solar pumps, solar heaters, at so many places nowadays we find that solar energy is being used very judiciously, and in a very smart manner we are using. Solar lanterns has also been seen in the coastal areas, where in the daytime they charge those lanterns, and at the night time they are again using this. So it has reduced the dependence on the other forms of energy which we have been seeing. So it is predicted and it is desirable, and it has been shown by the other countries that the renewable source of energy, we actually in the next 40 years, experts say that in the next 40 years we have to completely replace our energy infrastructure. Thus, all thermal power plants which are based on coal, with the oil wells which we are having, completely there will be a revamping of the infrastructure, and we will be seeing more and more renewables taking coming in, pitching in, and also production of the electricity and meeting the energy needs, because we will always be energy hungry. We always need more and more energy to meet our requirements, to do our jobs faster, to have a convenience. We need energy. And so we have a promise in the form of the renewable sources of energy which are there before us. Every country has a potential of the utilization of the renewable source of energy. But the only thing is that we have to see that how well we are able to we are able to use these resources in such a way that there is less wastage also, and there is more efficiency, because what has already been seen in other forms of energy, actually there is a wastage during transmission, during operation, during usage. So we have to check from various angles, and therefore this picture actually, if you see, you can very well see that what was the situation in 1973. See the dependence on oil, coal, and natural gas. See, and in by 2050, again, I think we will be in the reverse form like that of 1973, where we have this very micro shares of coal, oil, natural gas, and the major shares coming from the wind energy, solar energy. So that the time will tell how smartly, how efficiently we are using the present day energy sources which we are having today, and how well we can use them off. So this is just a comparison that how long we have come up. We have promising sources in the form of biofuels. Even waste materials are now being utilized for the generation of the electricity. Hydrogen has a potential as a source of energy. We know that we have been using solar energy and tidal energy also. So let us see how well we are able to do this. And the other graph on the top, it clearly shows that how with changing times, how our supply, energy supply is changing. The share of the coal is diminishing, and how the share of the other sources of the energy is increasing, like how biofuels are now used more, nuclear energy is used more. So these are some of the if you can say statistics and figures which explain you the situation better. So the another important thing is that we have been discussing about sustainability during all our um, discussions, and we have put embedded sustainability. So we need to have a context of energy also in our sustainability discourses, because the type of energy that we choose to do our work, that will determine the future course of action. Because Paris Agreement, it aims that it will limit the warming by 1.5 degrees. That is, and also we are proposing that sustainable development goals will be met by 2030. So in this, the type of energy which we are using, and we are investing in the types of energy whatever is available, that will guide our way, that will determine the sustainability of our actions. Because if we are not able to utilize the clean, affordable sources of energy, all our you can say all our efforts towards sustainability is going to fail. And therefore we must be knowing that sustainable development goal 7, it talks about ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. That is very, very essential. Energy must be affordable. It should be the price should be borne by the people. It should be reliable. Why we find that there are certain sources of energy which are not reliable. They do not sustain for long. They do not have that much of efficiency, and the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix has to be increased. As we were discussing just now, most of the energy comes from the fossil fuels in the global energy mix. So this transition actually changes with time. So we have to increase the share of the renewable energy, and also increasing the efficiency of the energy use, how we are using the energy, how we are minimizing the losses which occur during energy. because the different the soft and the hard part of the energy, which is generally seen as a measure of sustainability, it is actually a function of the efficiency of the energy systems. So we are, we are targeting net zero emissions by 2030 or 2040. What do we, because carbon dioxide emissions and the use of energy, the type of the energy which we are using, they are directly related to each other. Most of the problems related to climate change or carbon dioxide emissions is coming out of because of the energy resources we are using, whether it is in through vehicles, whether it is through industries, whether it is through our residential places, or it is through thermal power plants. So that is possible. So we have to increase our dependence on the clean technology which uses cleaner source of energy, investing in hydrogen, low carbon fuels are there. We have to decarbonize. That is the only thing which is required as present, that we have to look for the energy sources which do not emit much of the carbon, number one. Or secondly, we have to have a judicious uses of energy. Widespread digitalization, which is already happening. We have to rely on the solar based energy sources, energy efficient appliances. The star ratings are being given to different electronic appliances that we are purchasing today. They have the star rating which indicates the energy consumption. So we must look into that. Increase in the recycling, because that is also a wastage of energy which is incurred while producing a particular material. So when you go for recycling, reusing, we are also making strategic decisions on our energy. We have to have a kind of an energy budget where we can see how much of the energy we are investing and how much of the energy we are consuming. So work from home, flying less, expanding nuclear power. So it has to come through citizens, investors, companies, governments across. Every stakeholder, every individual has a role towards making our nation proceed towards zero emissions. And this shows that how different countries, different areas of the world, how they are, how much of the energy they are consuming and what is being predicted in future. So in future you can see that the share of Asia, because it is the developing nations mostly here, population is on the rise here, and therefore there will be increase in the share of, clearly it is visible that energy consumption will increase dramatically by 2050. We are at 2020, you can say here, and you can just check that how it is increasing. And that's a very interesting thing, that you must have come across this term, that energy slaves. Energy slaves just gives you an idea. For example, the type of the work which is being done, I just read it out here, then I just explain here. The quantity of the energy which, when used to construct and drive non-human infrastructure, replaces a unit of human labor. Or you can say that an energy slave does the work of a person through the consumption of energy in the non-human infrastructure. Explanation is in this way, that, for example, if we are replacing our car, or if we are replacing our any small electronic appliances which we are using, if we replace that with human labor, if human beings have to do that task, that much of the power, then how much of the energy will be required? For example, there is a simple analogy, that if the toaster is used, and how, if the human beings are going to perform that task, how much of the energy is required? So in a simple terms, we can say, generalization is that the developed nations have, a person in a developed country has between the range of 200 to 8,000 energy slaves. It means that it explains how much of the energy dependence they are having. Dependence particularly on the external sources of the energy. On the other hand, that we in the developing countries, the energy slaves are less. So energy slaves, the terminology explains that how much work done by energy is equivalent to the human infrastructure or the human being if it does that job. So how much of the consumption of the energy varies from one sector to another. Similarly, industrial sector will have more energy slaves. It is nothing but something which explains to you in the context of the interference of human beings in that particular process. We will discuss it. And climate change, you know that we are discussing that since times immemorial. We are dependent on the fossil fuels. We are consuming coal because it is cheaply available. It has an efficiency. It is linked to, because railway lines particularly, they use coal as a major source of energy, and we have been using this. But this dependence, the history of the energy crisis which has occurred in the past, it explains that how it is linked to climate change. The present times, we know that the thermal power plants which produce the electricity with the help of coal are leading to climate change and carbon dioxide emissions. But again, if we move on to the cleaner forms of energy in the form of hydropower, suppose, so hydropower also contributes to the generation of the greenhouse gases. It leads to social and environmental problems. So this energy crisis which we are always facing, it is not something new. We have faced oil crisis in 1973. During Gulf War in 1990, we had this energy crisis. But today it is linked more so and discussed more because we are already battling the dangers of the climate change. So, energy security for a particular nation has become more of a political and a strategic issue, where different countries, different nations, different priorities, and different usages of energy of various kinds, that will determine our future course of action, that how we are able to use our energy for meeting the requirements in a sustainable manner. And there was a UN high level dialogue on energy. Just quickly go through these things. What are the focus areas? 2030, we say that we will be able to provide affordable clean and energy to all sections. But what are the main priorities? So number one priority comes in the form of access to energy. As we said, there are billions of people who do not have access to energy in the form of electricity or any other force. So we have to provide energy access. Cost factor is important over here. Communities, how energy sources are distributed, how we can engage youth, women, how they can help generate electricity or energy. And so one of the issue which comes before us is the access to energy sources. It should be easily accessible to all sections of the society. Then transition of the energy. We have seen how energy transition takes place. Coal, oil, then we move to hydro, nuclear, and in the coming times we'll be exploring some more cleaner forms of energy. So it should be participatory process depending upon the needs of the people who are using and who are requiring the particular energy sources. Then impact of the energy. Have we ever studied that what is the impact of the energy on the well-being of the people? Is there any kind of a study which explains that energy deprived countries or the regions, they have a different set of socio-economic problems, or increase in crimes, or some particular disease factor, or inequality in the society, more gender inequality where energy is not available? So what is the impact of the energy on other aspects? That clearly needs to be understood in today's scenario, and we have to see that how well we are able to redesign our cities, our buildings, so that the impact of the energy is minimum. The concept of green buildings particularly will come into this. Then there's a scope of research, development, innovations in the form of the different types of infrastructure designs for utilization of the energy in a more efficient manner. And we need to invest. That is something which is very very essential, that how we invest in our energy resources. investments in the form of the not only investment particularly required in terms of the space or the place, but also investment in is required in the distribution of the energy sources. That is also very important, and blended finance schemes have to be encouraged. So these finance schemes means they are on the you can say they are those efforts which are towards the sustainability. So financing instruments which are aid towards the sustainable development initiatives, they come under the blended finance scheme. So creation of the market also is very much essential. How we are able to create the market, energy market, and energy equality is also very very important for a country like India, which is as diverse. So we have to make and we have to link that energy, climate, water, these things are interrelated with each other. We have to connect the dots so that we are able to uh, bring out some smart solutions to the energy problems which we are facing today. And comes now the impact of COVID-19, like it has affected all. During COVID-19, yes, there was decrease in the consumption of electricity, up to 10% it was seen when there was a lockdown, and there was all industries, factories, vehicles shut down. There was a reduced consumption, and also there was a kind of a more efficient use of solar energy, because clear skies, less aerosols in the air, and because of which the solar wind energy particularly, they were utilized in a more efficient manner during those times. So, however, it has also been studied that during COVID 19, we have altogether realized the importance of energy more, because for the healthcare services we need energy, we need uninterrupted supply of energy to provide better healthcare to the patients. Similarly, for the delivery of the food, grocery, other important things, we needed energy more to stay connected, to remain uh, and to continue the business as usual. We needed energy, and had the energy sources been not there, the impact of lockdown and the economy, which we have already seen, would have been more harmful if we had no access or limited access to energy. So, although it is believed that there was industry shutdown and there was a reduced consumption of the energy, however, studies have indicated that at the domestic front, household consumption level grew, and in this pandemic, actually, it shows us the way that how in future we need more reliance on the clean energy transitions, because we need to reassess, because we need to invest more, we need more clean forms of energy, so that we are able to fight the pandemics which might come in the future. So this was the disruption, and this disruption, that actually taught that how we can move towards clean energy sources, because it is very much required, particularly in these pandemic times. So, Global Energy Outlook 2020, the reports which came, they have shown certain interesting, you can say, figures or interesting information, that there was short-term decline in fossil fuels, but renewables, the scope of renewables is will grew, and these are some of the percentage decline during those few months, that the dependence on oil, coal, natural gas 5%, nuclear, but the renewables grow, and it is expected. But however, it is expected that in 2021 and 2022 there will be 5 to 10% more increase requirement of the energy for bouncing back, you can say. So as the COVID recovery occurs, we would be needing more energy to meet our requirements. So travel, human activity, actually it was curtailed, but so fossil fuel consumption reduced, and carbon dioxide emissions also reduced during those times. But However, it was a reduction to 8%, which was there in 2010. But in the future times, by 21, 22, again it is predicted that the energy consumption. So we have to see that we are progressing towards energy transition, or we have energy addiction. So we have to check that what sources of energy we are using. And sometimes we need to think in a very different manner, because when we go for energy discussions, that is never that don't use coal but use nuclear power. We have to use everything in a justifiable manner. There should be and also, not or. Why we are saying this, that because what is the use of what is the point of not using coal when it is so cheap, when it is easily available? The livelihoods of so many people are dependent upon the coal. So if we phase out coal completely, how will we be able to satisfy the needs of the people? But what is actually required is that we are able to utilize and form a proper framework of using the different sources of energy. We cannot move on hopping from one form of energy to another, because all are potential energy sources. We can use them, but the thing is that we have to use them in a more sustainable manner. So the future of energy lies in local solutions. This is something which is a major, you can say, takeaway from the World Energy Outlook analysis in 2020, and it says that just as we look to local surroundings for our other requirements, we have to go for decentralized energy sources, which will have less losses during transmission, and which will be more suitable according to the conditions which are prevailing in those nearby areas. So future of energy doesn't lie in exploring more oil fields, thinking of ways that how well and how more areas can we find out where, whether it is coal or minerals or whether it is oil. But it is required that we go for some local solutions for the use of energy, and the cleanest energy is one which is still not used. So we have to think that what kind of energy resources we can use, so that we are able to make a smoother transition. I think that is very, very essential. We know that we need energy. We cannot sustain without energy. It is the backbone of our industries. We have ample sources of energy also, but uh, a kind of a well planned uh, model to use the energy resources according to different needs of the people, different sector wise utilization of the energy, how much we are using, how much we are wasting. That kind of energy budget estimates need to be made, so that then only we will be able to meet out this energy crisis, because we are in a phase of crisis. We are energy hungry. We need more and more energy sources, but apart from that, we also have limitation. We have the limitation in terms of the resources. So with this, I think I'll end. We can discuss now.
On the right
Please
side,
come on the video for a proposition, please.
pen and paper type, which I am requesting to avoid, because that tends to get the entire process delayed.
Please, further discussion we can
take
take in the next session when Madam is going to take class in next session, because Madam has to join a meeting. So meeting has just started. Bhaskar, we can discuss in the next session when she take the class. Okay. So please come on the video. Raise, please.
So it is a request.
Please come in the video. Please come in the
Pen and
video.
paper, please convert your
Please
papers
show your
as far
video.
as possible into CPT mode, so that the results could be declared in time
Others?
and nobody is.
Okay, for
having
today, I'm
to
sorry, we are sorry to
response.
say that we are not having any discussion. Next session,
So the guide-
sure, Madam,
Next time
we will take the
we
discussion
would
for
request
energy
you
crisis
to
also. Madam,
follow
please
the
No
join
problem,
those
no
NTM.
problem.
We have all just started. Just
develop
started.
your
No
questions
problem.
as per
Okay.
your
You're welcome.
syllabus, which is type syllabus, and the item should have each question item should have 4 options in which only